Today on X-Play, it's all Metroid. Hold on to your morph balls. It's game time. Composed by Hirazaku Hip Tanaka, it's Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb.
Hello and welcome to X-Play.
Nearly 20 years ago, Metroid was first released for the NES.
In the following years, the Metroid series has contributed some of the most impressive titles for the Nintendo consoles. And Metroid Pinball.
Which was honestly pretty good, and every series makes the occasional strange choice, like the last season of Roseanne.
Or X-Play since the 4th episode.
Yeah, but we had a hell of a third episode.
But today, we're going to look back at the Metroid Prime series from Metroid Prime all the way to Metroid Prime 2.
And later in the show, we'll give you our first look at the new Metroid that's coming out next week, Metroid Prime Hunters.
Yay, we're topical. We're addressing issues ripped from the headlines, just like Law and Order SVU. And that's the kind of quality programming you can only get on G4.
And Emmy Award-winning Fastlane.
I want an Emmy.
No dice. All I can offer is this look back at the Metroid story so far. With all the Metroid prequels and sequels that have come out, don't worry if you're completely confused by the series' complex plot. X-Play has you covered. We'll put the games in order of the storyline and break down what's happened so far. It all started with Metroid for the NES. Mother Brain, the leader of a group of space pirates, is out to snag all the Metroids, adorable little critters that are hell-bent on sucking the energy out of all living things. Unfortunately for her, Mother Brain doesn't plan on your ability to shoot all living things. Of course, the game's big shocker was the surprise ending, where you find out Samus was a woman all along. It's like the Crying Game in deep space with fewer penises. The events of Metroid Prime for the GameCube take place right after the first game. You destroy a space pirate operation on a station orbiting Talon 4. You pursue the bad guys to the planet's surface, but along the way, you'll lose all your powers and gadgets. That's right, you have to regain them all from the ground up. Yep, that happens to Samus a lot. Metroid Prime 2 Echoes teams you up with an ancient alien race called the Luminoths. Yeah, they're basically big mosquitoes. This entry features the ultimate Nintendo cliche, the light and dark worlds. Use your fancy new weaponry to take down the bad guys and kill your pesky doppelganger from the last game. Metroid 2 Return of Samus picks up shortly after the events of Prime 2. In this Game Boy installment, you go to the Metroid's home planet of SR388 and kill. Once you take out the Metroid Queen, an adorable baby hatches who thinks you're his mama. That very same Metroid baby gets stolen by bad guy Ridley in Super Metroid for the SNES. You have to fight your way through a rebuilt space pirate base and kill Mother Brain again. Fortunately, the Metroid hatchling you saved shows up just in time to power up your weapons and help you take her out. Metroid Fusion for the GBA picks up shortly thereafter. Since you wiped out all of the Metroids, you completely screwed up the food chain of their home planet. The parasitic virus they used to eat, called X, is multiplying to dangerous proportions. Unfortunately, you get infected by the parasite and have to inject yourself with DNA from the Metroid hatchling in order to survive. Ew. Samus wipes out the parasites and restores peace in the universe, at least until the next Metroid game.
Oh, Metroid, you had me at Space Bikini.
It's fascinating to see all the best Metroid moments strung together like that.
All the best moments of Samus's life strung together like pearls.
The best moments of my life.
You were supposed to make a pearl necklace joke there.
Well, sorry, it's just a little awkward when you realize your greatest achievements of the past 20 years all involve a woman in a mech suit killing giant brains.
Look, Adam, there's nothing to be ashamed of. There are thousands of kids wasting their youths on way stupider games.
Really?
Yeah. There are kids out there wasting the best years of their lives on Gemstone 3 and Xenosaga, and lesser Gundam games.
Yeah!
Yeah, so if you've never been in love, so you've never played a sport, it's okay, because you did it with Samus.
Yeah!
But for all of those of you who didn't put the sweat into Metroid Prime to make it to the end, here's a look back at the final sequence in a classic edition of X-Play Spoiler Theater.
Yeah!
In Metroid Prime, the ultimate showdown is with, you guessed it, Metroid Prime. Prime takes two different forms. The first form is like a huge crab. The second form is this. After you've dispatched both forms, the ending proper begins. Is that Mother Brain, the main baddie from previous Metroid games? It can't get Samus. That's right, noobs. Samus is a girl. Now, if you've been diligent enough to complete the game with 100%, this is what you get. Bring on Metroid Prime 2.
Ooh, spooky evil Samus.
I do so love dramatic foreshadowing.
Yeah, like in Clue when Mrs. Peacock says how much she loves monkey brain soup.
We should foreshadow something in this show.
Like that later in the show, we're gonna preview Metroid Prime Hunters.
No, you can't just tell them. That's not foreshadowing.
Well, we can't be too obscure. Our audience isn't, all that bright. They still haven't figured out your secret.
My secret.
Your secret.
You've said too much already. Quick, go to break.
After the break, say hello to Dark Samus.
So you like hang with the surfers here at the beach?
G4. They went to junior high on the fortress planet of Zebus. It's Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb.
Welcome back to X-Play for our special tribute to Metroid.
Today we're looking back through the Metroid series and remembering how good games we already played are.
2 years ago, Nintendo released a sequel to Metroid Prime.
Innovatively, they decided to call it Metroid Prime 2.
They did add the word echoes as well, though very little of the game has to do with acoustics.
Or dolphins.
If only Samus and Echo the Dolphin could team up to fight crime together, now that would kick ass.
But corporate synergy being limited, what we got was just a regular old evil Samus. Here's our review of Metroid Prime 2, Echo.
We
loved Metroid Prime. It probably would have been our game of the year back in 2002. Well, if we had such a thing back then. Now it's 2 years later, and Samus is back on the cube, and she's a little older, but not much wiser. Metroid Prime 2 Echoes begins with Samus doing her duty as an intergalactic bounty hunter by investigating a lost patrol of space police on the planet Aether. When she gets there, surprise, surprise, her ship craps out, leaving her stranded. She eventually stumbles upon the Lost Patrol's ship, where she finds that bad things have happened. For someone who's supposed to be a savvy bounty hunter, Samus sure has a poor memory. Time after time, she investigates a problem, only to have her powers taken away. How about next time you leave the hardware on the ship until you know what's going on, girl? And alas, in Echoes, it happens once again, and Samus sets out to recover her abilities while trying to solve the mystery. And of course, what would a Metroid mystery be without space pirates? And yes, they've also returned, but they're not the only menace on Aether. And then there's Dark Samus, who obviously isn't a girl. No female would be caught dead in the same outfit. Aether has been split into two planes of existence, a dark side and a light side. The toxic dark side is ruled by an evil race called the ENunn. Squaring off against foes in the dark world is annoying, because Samus must stay under protective umbrellas or lose extra health. The light-dark mechanic is more irritating than innovative, and many times you'll have to pull a carry and flip-flop from one world to another just to solve a simple puzzle. And this brings up another issue with Echoes. There's simply too much backtracking. You'll get a message with a new objective, and then you'll have to open the map and try to figure out how to get there. The first handful of hours is truly a blast as things roll along at an incredible clip. But eventually, you'll be spending a lot of time running through the same areas over and over again, looking for the one door that hasn't been opened. Yeah, we know this is how Metroid works. But if this series is ever going to compete with the Halos and Grand Theft Autos, this has to change. Hey, man used to think the world was flat. Otherwise, Metroid Prime 2 is just as good as the first. The attention to detail is second to none. You get some new gadgets to fiddle around with, and there's also an increased emphasis on the morph ball, which we love. And of course, the combat is sublime. We give it a 4 out of 5.
Playing games like Metroid Prime 2 or Prince of Persia: The Two Thrones always makes me wonder what evil Adam is like.
He's probably a brunette.
Yeah, and I imagine he's got stronger bladder control than me. It's hard to be evil when you're doing the pee-pee dance.
Yeah, I always wonder what good Morgan is like.
Probably a lot like Reese Witherspoon.
But deadlier.
In a moment, you are the ball.
I swear.
I have a month for 6 months. For more information,
Dates at midnight. G4.
You can call them Justin Bailey. It's Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb.
Welcome back to X-Play.
Today, we're looking back at the Metroid series from grainy 8-bit Samus to the luscious vixen of Metroid Prime 2.
And all of this is leading up to our splashy exclusive look at Metroid Prime Hunters.
But first, we have to take a moment to remember that the Metroid franchise has created kick-ass titles for a number of platforms.
From The Return of Samus on the Game Boy to Zero Mission on the GBA, Metroid has made handheld games that were consistently mature and action-packed.
But nothing was a bigger surprise than the first Metroid game for the DS. Here's our review of Metroid Prime Pinball. In the
gaming industry, when characters get tired, the developers decide to throw them in an unlikely environment to spice things up. The results have been less than pleasing, giving us games like Mario Basket Weaving, Mega Man Tax Audit, and Final Fantasy Square Dancer. But after years of disappointment, the kids at Nintendo might have gotten one right by giving an interesting twist to an existing lore and sprucing up an almost dead genre. Metroid Prime Pinball may just be worth your precious while. The story revolves around Samus, the greatest female action hero since Ripley. Wait, who am I kidding? There's no story. Our hero decides to be the ball while being flung around a pinball table in every possible direction. But this game isn't only about flippers, bumpers, and ramps. The developers included some familiar characters to add difficulty and take full advantage of the Metroid license. After satisfying certain requirements on the table, you can roll into a special area and transform back into a human. This gives Samus the chance to unleash her fury on a bevy of shriekbats, beetles, and such. And like most pinball games, the longer you keep your ball in play, the more rewards you can receive. Oh sure, you get the usual multi-ball mode, but here they call the balls clones. Clever. You get to take a stab at some mini-games as well, like wall jumping in the rainforest and pest control Metroid style. You can also work the battle area to duke it out with the big boss dominating the top screen. The only major problem is the table itself. The game takes advantage of both screens, but there is a huge David Letterman gap between them. So when the ball travels from one screen to the other, it can be a bit disorienting. Not to mention that timing certain moves can be a pain in the ass. Also, you only start out with 2 tables unlocked, and you have to collect numerous artifacts to unlock more. While the replay value of this game is excellent, it can get a little redundant playing the same board over and over. Still, this is the best handheld pinball game on the market to date. The 3D rendered characters mixed with incredible environmental effects will make your jaw drop and your retinas dance. And the included Rumble Pack gives some extra shake to your rattle and roll. So whether you're a Metroid disciple or a hardcore flipper-flapper, this game will pleasantly make the hours of your sad life drift away. We give Metroid Prime Pinball 4 unused Tommy references out of 5.
How is that not a horrible idea for a game?
I don't think there's one single other classic gaming character who could be a pinball and get away with it.
Kirby can make an excellent dodgeball.
But I always thought Waluigi would make a good tranny. He's got expressive eyes.
All right.
Up next, our Metroid Prime Hunters preview.
Gigantic man eat 12 or this ain't G4.
Later, they will complete this episode in a 13-minute speed run. It's Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb.
Welcome back to X-Play. We're taking a look at the past and the future of the Metroid franchise.
A new chapter in the Metroid saga is about to open with Metroid Prime Hunters.
With online multiplayer support and cool new characters, Hunters takes full advantage of the DS and the Metroid legacy.
Here's our first look at Metroid Prime Hunters. Nintendo finally did a triple Lindy into the online pool with Mario Kart for the DS. So you knew it was only a matter of time until more of its franchise characters dipped their toes into the waters of the intraweb. Next to place their wrinkled feet on the rungs of the diving board ladder is Metroid Prime Hunters. Yes, Nintendo's femme fatale is going online, but Hunters is a lot more than that. From the outer reaches of space comes a cryptic message beckoning the galaxy's strongest warriors to taste ultimate power. Not wanting the muscle to fall into the wrong hands, Samus heads to the Olympic system where she finds 6 other bounty hunters that have decided to make it a party. But Samus knows that there's only enough cake for one. The good news is that, thank you, Nintendo, Samus does not lose all her powers at the beginning of the game. So you can forget about a lot of backtracking, making Hunters the most ravenous Metroid yet. Just like the GameCube games, you blast bugs from behind the safe confines of Samus's visor. And you still get all the other goodies, like morph ball action, platform jumping, and exploration out the screw attack. And what would a Metroid game be without epic boss battles? You'll get plenty here, including this grandiose throwdown with a wooden pole. You'll also square off against all 6 rival bounty hunters. And it's hard to deny that this game is brimming with Metroid DNA. As surprisingly robust as the single-player mode is, the multiplayer options are what will keep Metroid Prime hunters in rotation long after most handheld games have stepped off the dance floor. You can blast it out with up to 4 players, online or off, with plenty of customization to use across more than 20 different maps. This is where you'll get to know the 6 new bounty hunters. Each has its own alternate form and fighting style. Candon will turn into a slug, while Weevil morphs into a gun turret. Mastering each hunter's skill is the key to survival. As the first handheld 3D Metroid, hunters may finally get you to stop playing Mario Kart. Get ready for all the ball rolling and space pirate blasting you can handle when it touches down this winter.
Shooting slugs. That's quality gameplay.
Morgan, remember that secret you were foreshadowing earlier?
Oh yeah, my big secret. I am a woman.
The hell you say?
Yep, X chromosome, small occipital ridge, the works.
I think you know a person. I always assumed you had long hair because you were a hippie.
Nope, I'm a lady. I got a purse and everything.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, do you have that thing on the back of the head? Hmm? No, you don't, because